Welcome to Thriving with ADHD, a podcast where we'll share everyday practical tips to thrive in life as an adult with ADHD. This podcast is brought to you by Animo Sano Psychiatry, a behavioral health practice with a specialist ADHD clinic based in North Carolina. And this is your host, Nada Pupovac. Welcome to Thriving with ADHD, dear ADHD community. We are back with a new, fantastic, and very important episode with Animo Sano's PA-C Stefanie Solomon. Stephanie and I are going to talk about the impact of diet and nutrition on ADHD and other comorbid conditions like depression, anxiety, OCD, and others. Stephanie is a well of knowledge when it comes to this topic, and I'm sure you'll be taking notes just as I did. Before we jump into this conversation, here's a bit more about Stephanie. Stephanie brings a unique combination of educational and clinical experience to her role as a physician assistant. She is involved in all aspects of patient care, including taking detailed histories and physical exams, developing and implementing treatment plans, and prescribing medications. Stephanie's commitment to providing comprehensive and compassionate care is evident in all that she does. Stephanie, welcome back to Thriving with ADHD. I'm delighted to have you back on the show. And today you and I are talking about diet and nutrition in ADHD and other comorbid conditions.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's kick off with the first question. So please tell us, can a diet have an effect on ADHD and other comorbid conditions? And if so, how?
Yeah, definitely. So while nutrition cannot really cause nor cure ADHD and other mood disorders, it can certainly play a part in controlling symptoms. So eating the right foods and avoiding the wrong ones can improve focusing, attention, and impulsivity, as well as sleep, mood, and anxiety. So we all know that, the body requires certain nutrients, vitamins, and minerals in order to function properly, right? So same goes for the brain. All of the systems and organs in your body need nutrients and energy to function, and the brain is, no different. In fact, the food, as food provides your biggest energy source, and being that the brain is one of the organs that requires the most energy, it's certainly important. In fact, about 20% of the calories that we consume in our day are used by our brains. And the reason this is so crucial to mental health is because in order to build neurotransmitters, the brain needs a variety of these nutrients. Neurotransmitters are messengers that help brain cells communicate with each other, and they help communicate messages from your brain to the rest of your body, and essentially are kind of the cornerstone as far as mental health, right? So quality macronutrients like protein, fat, carbs, and as well as micronutrients like vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients from fruits and vegetables are all critical for proper brain health. There's a field called nutritional psychiatry, which is a subspecialty in psych, in which experts have been studying how food impacts our brain health and how this research behind all this can be applied clinically, both for prevention and treatment of mental health illnesses. So the idea of this in this field is to improve clinical outcomes besides just using medication. So what these experts are finding, is that the same foods that promote physical health also foster positive mental health. So whole foods and foods diverse in vitamins and minerals are micronutrients. They also found that poor diets that contain a lot of ultra processed foods with little nutritional variety appear to exacerbate depression and other mental health problems. Additionally, research has shown that a healthy dietary pattern has been associated with a decreased risk of depression and anxiety,
Mm.
sleep, as well as improve ADHD symptoms. Much of our diet can either as well also increase or decrease inflammation, which is also a really big part of mood disorders and mental health conditions. The more inflammation you have in your body, the more it can exacerbate or predispose you to having mental health issues. Um, Also, individuals without ADHD, might be able to eat a relatively poor diet, but can still function pretty well
Mm-hmm.
at school or work, at least temporarily. But those with ADHD are more likely to lose focus faster and have more issues with impulsivity or hyperactivity if they are that type, if they consume a poor diet.
All right. So, okay, let's focus on those vitamins and minerals. So, what are some of those nutrients that can contribute to a healthy brain and mental health that people should look for? So, what foods contain a high amount of these essential nutrients?
Sure, sure. So, as far as the nutrients, research showed that it's all about the vitamin and minerals that you consume.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had mentioned, helping with the production and balance of neurotransmitters. So, certain vitamins like vitamin B complex vitamins like B2, B9, B6,
Mm-hmm.
vitamin B12, vitamin D, all play a role in the severity of depression and ADHD symptoms. So, people with
Okay.
lower levels might be more prone to having depression or at least, higher severity of the condition.
Mm-hmm.
It also can affect, if they take medication, improving with medication. There's also vitamin C, which is required by the brain to make neurotransmitters. That's just a few of the vitamins. And one study showed that symptoms in adult ADHD patients were reduced after administration of a vitamin B6 related drug, metadoxine. So that I found that interesting. Additionally, some other nutrients that have shown to affect mental health are folate, iron, zinc, selenium,
Mm-hmm.
magnesium, to name a few. Patients with depression have been shown to have blood folate levels and zinc levels that were lower, on average 25% lower than healthy control subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Low levels of folate have been identified as a strong predisposing factor of poor outcome with antidepressant therapy, and that oral zinc can actually enhance the effectiveness of the antidepressants. And then also low iron levels have shown to be correlated with cognitive deficits and severe ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Magnesium is another big one. Magnesium is important because low levels can result in poor concentration, low mood, and increased anxiety, mood swings, fatigue, and sleeping difficulties. Low blood levels of magnesium have been associated with higher likelihood of depression and OCD. What's
Mm-hmm.
more, studies have shown that children with ADHD are deficient in magnesium. So those with the lowest levels have the highest hyperactivity levels. Studies have also shown that supplementing with magnesium in children with ADHD leads to less hyperactivity,
Mm-hmm.
less impulsivity, and less oppositional behavior. After just 2 months of the supplement, it's shown to reduce anxiety by reducing stress hormones and muscle tension. Another key nutrient that I wanted to mention that plays a huge role in mental and brain health is omega-3 fatty acids.
Mm-hmm.
So these fatty acids, which are essential fatty acids, which means essential meaning you need to get it from your diet. Your body doesn't produce them on its own.
Okay.
These play a huge role in the binding of neurotransmitters in the brain and lower inflammation. So they can have a huge effect on mood and ADHD. So multiple studies have shown that supplementing a diet with omega-3 consistently lowers hyperactivity levels, decreases moodiness and aggression, as well as improves working memory and attention. So these essential fatty acids are crucial in getting in our diet, or at least via supplementation. Um, and so they, omega-3s have other benefits, health benefits, cardiovascular health by lowering blood pressure and cholesterol, stabilizing blood sugar levels and reducing inflammation in muscle and bone. So they have tons of benefits, but they play a huge role in mental health. So as far as which foods are best or, in your diet, well, it's definitely certain foods that are better for mental health. It's more about consuming a diverse, nutrient dense diet. So, after all, we don't eat foods or nutrients in isolation. We eat a dietary pattern, right?
Okay.
So nutrient density is important, and this is the amount of nutrients you get for the amount of calories consumed. So you want nutrient dense foods, and so foods that provide a mixture of energy supplying supplements. Nutrients, along with other vitamins, minerals, water that are beneficial. So some of these foods, could be fatty fish, like salmon or tuna that contain a lot of these omega-3 fatty acids, nuts such as cashews or hazelnuts, legumes like beans, lentils, leafy green vegetables, avocados, whole grains like oatmeal, bran, higher fiber cereals, seeds like flax and pumpkin seeds. All of these are shown to be very, nutrient dense, so containing a lot of the nutrients that can be beneficial for mental health. Additionally, you want to have a good amount of protein in your diet, as it provides the body with essential amino acids like tyrosine and tryptophan, which are also helped to use to make neurotransmitters. And so it doesn't have to be, a lot of protein, but, at least starting off your day with a small amount of protein has shown to, help with the brain awakening neurotransmitters, improving alertness, and reducing the likelihood that the ADHD medication will cause irritability and restlessness. So just, a small amount, like 7 grams of protein you can get in a cup of milk or soy milk, 1 egg, an ounce of cheese or meat, that's all it really takes. And then also incorporating a rainbow diet. So which I've heard the term brainbow, because it's like rainbow for your brain. So this
it's
is
very
just
suitable.
Yeah. So, a variety of colorful fruits and veggies, such as berries, peppers, yellow squash, et cetera, will help lower antioxidant levels in your body and keep the brain, young. So all of these things, all of these factors is what would go into kind of choosing what foods and what diet to go with.
All right. Now, let's hear about what foods to avoid. So, what are the foods that can worsen ADHD symptoms and symptoms of other comorbid conditions? And
Sure.
why? Yeah.
So certain things like sugars, such as refined carbs and sweets, cause an inflammatory response that can be harmful to our mood and well-being. Some examples would be white bread, pancakes, waffles, sugar-coated breakfast cereals, which don't contain a lot of fiber, as well as fruit juices. So while whole fruit does have sugar, fruit juices often have added sugar and not the same amount of nutrients that like the whole fruits would have. So we want to limit, fruit juices and soda, which generally has a lot of sugar as well. And then there's, foods with a lot of trans fats, like fried foods. So researchers have found that regular consumption of fried foods is linked to higher levels of depression and anxiety. And additionally, even foods that may be healthier, when they're whole, research shows that the frying process of these foods may change the nutrient composition and produce harmful chemicals. So, for example, potatoes, frying potatoes can generate something called acrylamide, which produces neuroinflammation and reduces lipid metabolism, which are important for the brain and producing neurotransmitters. So just the process of frying can affect it as well. And then alcohol, too much alcohol can cause dehydration and lead to B vitamin deficiencies, which I mentioned. B vitamins are important, and that can make you more depressed and anxious. So just avoiding kind of those things. If you're going to look at labels, looking for, avoiding terms like corn syrup, hydrated cane juice, or anything ending with ose, like OSE, which are like different types of sugars that aren't really great for you. So
all those things that we like to eat, but we really
yeah,
should avoid. That's basically
yeah,
it.
they give
Okay.
you that like boost of dopamine in the moment, but
Yes,
then,
true,
yeah,
true.
so just kind of big for people with ADHD, they're always looking for that extra
Mm,
dopamine. And so you
yes,
may resort to like the unhealthy carbs, which feels good in the moment, but overall
true,
it can hurt your
true.
mental health.
True. We listen to you. It's important. Okay. Let's now switch gears and talk about connection between our gut and our brain in regards to our mental health, and how does this relate to our diet?
Yeah. So there's something called the gut-brain axis, or the gut-brain connection.
Mm-hmm.
Scientists refer to the gut as our second brain.
Okay.
So what this means is it's a bi-directional communication between the gut and the brain, in which the health of one can affect the other.
Mm-hmm.
So just like when you're under stress and see an increase in, GI symptoms like constipation or stomach cramps, the health of the gut can affect brain health. And so the reason this is important in diet is, fiber. So our foods need to contain enough fiber to help the digestive system effectively process what it takes in. Um, Several studies have shown that also microorganisms living in your gut, including probiotics, can play
Mm-hmm.
a key role in mood regulation by helping to reduce inflammation in your body, produce feel-good neurotransmitters, and affect your stress response. Um, Findings from the American Gut Project show that individuals who report a mental disorder such as depression, schizophrenia, PTSD, bipolar, had more in common with other people with other mental disorders in terms of the bacteria in their gut and microbiomes than they did with their mentally healthy pairs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and additionally, 95% of serotonin is stored in your gut. So,
Okay.
serotonin is that feel good neurotransmitter. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, another thing is there's this concept of psychobiotics. So what psychobiotics is, it's a group of probiotics that affects the central nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
related functions and behaviors mediated by this gut-brain axis. So it shows that targeting the microbiome through diet
Mm-hmm.
using probiotics to regulate gut-brain communication can improve mental health outcomes. So in order to have these beneficial microbes, we need to feed them prebiotic fiber, which I had mentioned before, fiber. And this is found in fruits and vegetables, fermented foods, whole grains, and legumes. And so these are some of the foods that are constituents of a psychobiotic diet that have been proven to ameliorate depressive symptoms. And so while more studies are required to kind of analyze the relationship between this microbial imbalance and mental health, studies have showed that there is a causal relationship, and so it may take some kind of further research and kind of individualizing per person, what microbes are best for them as far as taking probiotics and
Mm-hmm.
prebiotics. But the evidence is there, and so we'll one day be able to isolate the really good and bad strains involved in depression and other mental illnesses, so that we can kind of build a database on what to target as far as that goes. So I found that really interesting.
Yeah, and very exciting and very powerful.
Yeah,
It really makes you think about what you're eating, and so much can so much of what we eat can impact the whole, not just body, but our mind and our soul and our mental health. So
absolutely.
it's fascinating. It's fascinating for sure. So of course now we have all different diets and eating styles, and I suppose there are differences between cultures. So can we maybe talk about the differences between different types of cuisines, maybe Western diet, vegan, vegetarian? So are there any differences there?
Yeah, for sure. So each diet, has its pros and cons. But so what we found was is that the Mediterranean diet is the best. Studies have shown
Okay.
that following a Mediterranean diet has the highest benefits, not just with mental health, but physical health as well. It contains a lot of these omega-3s, a good variety of, those vitamins and minerals that I had mentioned. So as far as the other diets, so the vegetarian diet can be great because it can have a lot of, it's more calorically dense,
Mm-hmm.
as far as nutrients, with some of the like important nutrients like fiber and phytonutrients, which are, some of the key nutrients for mental health. But then
Mm-hmm.
one of the caveats is that they might be a little bit deficient in some of the other essential nutrients like
Okay.
vitamin B12. So, B12 is found in a lot of animal products like meat, seafood, and
All
dairy.
right.
So especially if they're vegan, they may be lacking in this. They also might be less likely to get some of the omega-3s, but they can get these from, if they're not eating any dairy or meat, but they can get these from flax seeds, algae oil, and then, through supplements. They can also supplement other things that they might be deficient in, like zinc, iron, and, but with a plant-based diet, they are getting less of those saturated and trans fats that are commonly found in animal products,
All
which is
right.
a good thing, right? So, and less, sometimes less fried foods. Um, and they're eating more foods that are rich in vitamins like vitamin E and C, like nuts and seeds, leafy
Mm-hmm.
greens, fruits and veggies, whole grains, and which are, especially beneficial for brain health, and may help prevent against cognitive decline. So then there's the ketogenic diet, which so the Mediterranean diet is the best, then it's the ketogenic diet is the next best after that, and then follows that is the vegetarian and vegan. So the ketogenic diet appears to affect the brain in a number of positive ways. It can help provide a feel-good effect, help bolster brain power, have antioxidant effects, and boost those feel-good neurotransmitters. So these, individuals on this diet are getting a lot of the healthy fats because it's a high fat diet, which lowers inflammation. And research believe that lower levels of inflammation combined with the enhanced energy with ketones used as fuel may contribute to improved brain
Uh-huh.
function. So
Uh-huh.
this is really interesting as well. And so um, they get a lot of these omega-3 fatty acids. And so individuals with ADHD, especially who have low levels of omega-3s, will show the biggest improvement in mental focus and cognitive function when they add more of these healthy fats to their diet. So
Mm.
and then there's the Western diet. So the Western diet is probably the worst one for your mental health. And so this is typically high calorie and low nutritionally, right? So
Mm-hmm.
consists of, like I had said, a lot of ultra processed inflammatory foods like processed meats, fast food, high fat dairy products, and sugary foods. And so this can lead to malnutrition because these foods aren't very nutrient dense, right? So one study has shown that the Western diet doubled the risk of having an ADHD diagnosis compared with a healthier diet. So it's definitely important. And so they also, they contain too many of like the omega-6 fatty acids, which aren't as good for you as the omega-3s, and too few of the omega-3s. And so the interaction of different foods of this unhealthy dietary pattern can also weaken the protective role of folate and vitamin B12 against depression. So even if they are taking a supplement for these things, let's say if they're consuming too much of this unhealthy nutrients, it can kind of counteract that
Okay.
protective effect. So yeah, it definitely makes a difference. But the Mediterranean diet has shown to be the best, which through multiple studies. And so because of this high, super beneficial omega-3s that it contains, and so it just has been shown to improve mood. And even put depression into full remission. So the first randomized controlled study done on this, I think it was 2017, they took individuals who were, depressed. Some of them were on medication and in therapy. Some were just on therapy or medication, some neither. But um, almost all of the individuals went into full remission after being on the Mediterranean, or it was a modified Mediterranean diet because they ate red meat as well. But so most of them improved. And so it just goes to show that it really does make a difference. And so,
Okay.
and plus the Mediterranean diet, as well as the ketogenic and vegetarian, they all, promote healthy gut microbial communities, and they increase levels of like neurotropic factors, which help
Okay.
promote brain growth and reduce inflammation. So yeah, it makes a big difference as far as which diet you kind of follow.
Uh, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I do know that many people have barriers when thinking about obtaining healthy food. People think that it might be not accessible. Maybe it's too expensive, or just, you know, there are, I suppose, and I include myself in this group, that we have loads of excuses not to eat as healthy as we could. So, can you please let us know what are the ways, what are the things that we can do to overcome these barriers and obtain healthy food?
Yeah, so it depends on what the barrier is, but like for example, if worried about cost, there's definitely things you can do. So it doesn't have to be expensive or even organic, which a lot of people think, you have to eat like high quality, well, high quality, of course you want, but like organic or expensive foods, and that's not really the case. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're unable to afford like whole foods, canned foods is still better. Fish such as salmon, sardines, anchovies, you can get, through, and they still contain like those omega 3s. And so, nuts and beans you can get as well, canned or in bulk. Buying in bulk frozen veggies or, salmon at Costco or Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
you can buy a large amount for a smaller price and then freeze it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's one actually trial that was done, a Smiles trial, it was called, where they showed that individuals actually saved $1,000 a year when they switched over towards a more brain healthy Mediterranean diet. So
Mm-hmm.
over time, as they start eating more plants and vegetables and shopping, you know, and grocery shopping versus like eating out or getting fast food and things like that.
Okay.
Um, another thing is meal prep. So meal prep can be really difficult as far as planning, and especially for individuals with ADHD. So getting in the habit of meal prepping would can definitely be helpful. And while it involves preparation and time management, decision making, there's a few things you can do. So um, what you can do is keep a running list of items that you need at the grocery store
Mm-hmm.
before you go shopping. So hungry people tend to buy more food, especially junk food,
Yeah.
um, and determine what ingredients you need, and plan a few meals at a time helps, so you don't end up going to the grocery store several times in a week. Sticking to the items on your list, be wary of displays like at the end of aisles, which are encouraged to or designed to encourage impulse buying.
Yes.
Um, get to know your grocery store, know where everything is located so you don't spend too much time there and end up buying more. Shopping when the grocery store isn't crowded so you can get in and out more quickly, and then using shopping apps to make it more, efficient and accessible. And check with your favorite grocery store for shopping services. They may gather the groceries for you and deliver them, or have curbside pickup, which makes it a lot easier to do. So kind of planning for that, and then doing those things can help with meal planning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then avoid binging on food which, to satiate the dopamine cravings. So in order to do that, you can set up like a food environment that promotes in your home, that promotes healthy eating. So getting rid of like chips, candy, other snacks that encourage binging, while stocking up on nutritious meals and snacks that require little preparation. Finding healthier ways to get that dopamine fix. So example would be exercise. With regular physical activity, ADHD adults can raise their levels of dopamine and norepinephrine. And so finding more healthy ways to kind of get that dopamine fix that you might need can help lower the temptation to boost dopamine through food. And then avoid crash dieting. So, kind of take things slow and, kind of a sustained change, right? So sustained changes take time. And so, avoid doing crash dieting where it's all or nothing. And then, that may worsen it. And you may kind of bounce, kind of regress and go back to your old habits and stuff. So just kind of slowly implementing these strategies can be helpful.
I have one last question for you. And that is what we always like to ask our guests. And if there is one thing that you would like our listeners to remember from this episode, to take out from it, what that would be?
Yeah. So like I had said, nutrition is not going to cure your symptoms or cure your condition, I should say, but can definitely help control the symptoms. So whether it's depression, anxiety, ADHD, or another condition that you're struggling with, just optimizing your diet by utilizing a variety of nutrient-dense foods, foods that contain a lot of the vitamins and minerals relative to the amount of calories, and be realistic. So everything in moderation, right? So instead of hyper focusing on having the perfect diet, just aim to eat a balanced diet with minimal amounts of the foods that hurt your brain the most. And like I had said, avoiding crash dieting. It takes time to reverse the effects of years of overeating and inactivity and bad habits. So, set realistic goals for yourself for changing your diet and activity level. And then, if you're not able to modify your diet too much, or you're not up to doing that, at least, supplementing. So you can take vitamins and minerals or supplements that are known to have a positive effect on mental health, such as the omega-3 fatty acids like fish oil, the B complex vitamins, vitamin D, and magnesium. And just remember that, ADHD, it's not caused by diet, and diet cannot cure ADHD, but in combination with other treatments for ADHD and mental health, such as therapy and medication, the diet can help be kind of like a supplement and help boost, your help the other things to be successful in treating, and help with the medication in treating the conditions, and their severity of the symptoms. And so, the best management strategy is one that works best for you. So find what works best for you, knowing what foods to focus on and what to avoid, and just kind of doing the best you can with that.
Thank you so much, Stefanie. I think this was incredibly informative session, and I think our community, whether you have ADHD or depression, anxiety, and any other mental health condition, really, I think we can all benefit from what you just shared with us. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, your expertise, and I hope we'll have you some other time to talk about something else and exciting and informative again.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to talking to you again next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Thriving with ADHD. This show is produced by Animo Sano Psychiatry. Please follow, rate, or share our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other streaming app of your choice. Music is by Daddy's Music from Pixabay. For more information about Animo Sano Psychiatry, please visit animosanopsychiatry.com.